Alrighty, so for today's video blog, we were asked to closely observe a social studies lesson, and I chose to talk about an activity on the Underground Railroad. We're currently in the Civil War unit in U.S. history, and we're talking about abolitionism, some of the causes, and we talked about the Underground Railroad, and then on Wednesday, we did one of Mr. Power's favorite activities. It's kind of to simulate the Underground Railroad and the difficulties of it. So when the students came in, we divided them into teams of 2 or 3 people. And then we kind of told them the rules, what was going to happen. They were going to go around the school, collect tickets from certain stations, and they would kind of navigate their way north through the Underground Railroad. To do this, students were first given a laminated piece of construction paper, which they had to hold on to at all times to kind of represent the hardships of traveling with people, how it made it harder with bigger groups. So they had to hold on to that at all times, which was a rule, and they would go from classroom to classroom and pick up their tickets to find out where to go next. While this was happening, there was 1 or 2, what do they call it, like bounty hunters, and if they saw the students with their colored pieces of paper, they would write them down and turn them in, just to represent that they would have been caught and then returned back to the slave owners. So that was kind of what we did, and we had about 10 stops, and when they came back, they sat down, turned all their tickets in, made sure they had them all, and then the bounty hunter would come and let everyone know who was caught and who wasn't, and about half the class was caught. It was kind of fun. I stood in one of the hallways and just observed to make sure that kids were kind of staying under control, and they were being really stealthy and they were having fun with it, so it was kind of cool to see them just walk around the school. Got them out of the classroom, which I'm sure they enjoyed, so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, the bounty hunter would come in and turn people in, and then when that was over, they took a quiz online asking them what they learned, talked about some of the stops that they went to up north, and just asked them some overall stuff about the Underground Railroad, which was pretty cool. And some things I observed, but the students were fairly engaged through this. I think they really enjoyed getting out of the classroom and just walking around the school, but at the same time they were learning kind of about the hardships of the Underground Railroad, certain cities that people pass through, and that was pretty sweet. I think that was really successful because they enjoyed it, and I know that because they said that they enjoyed it, and they just, through observing them while they were participating, there were smiles on their faces and just they were having fun with it, so that was cool. And it ties into the class well because we were lectured about the Underground Railroad the day before and just how it was difficult and was no easy task at all. So they just were able to kind of see what it was like, even though it doesn't have the biggest comparison, having to hold on to a piece of construction paper compared to traveling only at night. They still were able to kind of experience it, which is kind of cool. If I was to do this in the future, I would definitely do something similar, but instead of like a multiple choice quiz at the end, I would maybe have them write about their experiences. Kind of, if I was to have a journal or that kind of thing, I would have them write down what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, and just talking about the hardships of the Underground Railroad and that kind of thing. So that's a few things about the lesson. So yeah, Underground Railroad activity was a success, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed observing them, and it seemed that there was a lot of preparation and planning that went into it, and you could just tell that the students were having a good time with it, and they were able to take away some things from it, so that was good.